I spent 10 years slowly killing myself, and I didn't even realize it. But don't worry, I survived, as you can clearly see, but not everyone does. What I want to share with you is a story that will be familiar to many. It's about the constant struggle to fit in and belong, and the potential dangers of taking that too far and losing yourself in the process. Sound familiar? This is a story of survival, of struggle, and ultimately of transformation. My prayer in sharing it with you is that it might offer hope, encouragement, or shine a light to anyone who's felt the weight of trying to be someone they're not. To help you understand how I ended up there, I want to take you back through 4 seasons of my life, with each one teaching me something about what it really means to accept myself and can hopefully help you do the same. Now to season 1, belonging. This is where the problem started. Growing up Filipino-Australian in regional Australia in the 90s was hard. Everyone around me was Caucasian. And one of my earliest memories as a child was just wishing for blonde hair and blue eyes. I thought, if I can just look like everyone else, maybe then I'll finally belong. But the constant rejection was hard. I remember one time every girl in my grade being invited to a birthday party except me. My mom once also invited the entire grade to my birthday party, but they weren't really my friends. So it felt like the party was more for them than me. And being a part of the reject group, the girls no one else wanted to hang out with. Looking back, it's no surprise I grew up believing I didn't belong anywhere. And that was the beginning of a pattern, changing myself to earn acceptance, to fit in to my environment. And this is what I learned. Belonging isn't about changing who you are. Belonging is a human need, but it needs to first start with self-acceptance. Only then will you truly know what you want to belong to. Now to season 2. Striving. In high school, that need to belong continued. So when a family member once said, if you lose weight, you could model, I said yes. I thought maybe this is where I could finally fit in, have more friends, and people would finally approve of me. So I chased a dream that wasn't even mine. And I had no idea that losing a little weight would later spiral into a full-blown eating disorder that would steal years of my life. At first, the modeling world seemed to validate me. I placed well in modeling competitions, signed with a top agency, and for a brief moment, I felt I had value. But then came the feedback. We love you, but you won't book much work here. You're too exotic. Or in other words, you don't look Australian enough. You're too short for Fashion Week. You'll need to go overseas. Those words planted a toxic seed that I am not enough as I am, that my worth must only be in being thin. So I went to the Philippines and I did start booking jobs. But in my mind still, it was only because I was skinny. Then at 18, something traumatic happened. That family member who first encouraged me to get into modeling was killed. He was murdered. I didn't know how to cope with the grief. And honestly, this is my first time I've ever publicly said this. And after starving myself for so long, I turned to food for comfort and gained a lot of weight. I then walked away from modeling and a contract that could have taken me across Asia and potentially New York. So when I returned to Australia, I stayed with my parents. After a while, I was encouraged to get back into my modeling dream as a way to heal. But for me, that wasn't healing. That only meant one thing: having to lose weight again. So I spent 4 years isolating myself as I lost more and more and more and more weight. My eating disorder had now also become a coping mechanism for all the pain I had been feeling. At 22, I thought I was finally skinny enough to make a comeback. But the feedback remained the same: too exotic, too short for Australia. But now at 22, I was also too old to go to New York. It felt like no matter what I did, how hard I tried, it was never enough. And this is what I learned. When you don't accept yourself, you could end up chasing dreams that aren't even yours. And it can cost you more than you realize. Now to season 3. Acceptance. Still not healed, my mom flew me back to the Philippines, believing being there might help. And she was right. I found myself back into modeling and started booking work again. With the more success I achieved, the more confident and accepted I began to feel in myself as a Filipino-Australian. But what really shifted for me was when people suggested I try hosting. For the first time, I felt valued for who I was and what I had to offer. That people were interested in what I had to say, not the way I looked. I began to find joy in helping others feel seen and celebrated, because I knew what it felt like to be excluded and worthless. By faith, I was beginning to understand my self-worth. And once I started accepting myself, I was finally ready to confront my struggles, rooted in the truth that every person, including me, is loved and has value. From that foundation, my pain began to transform into purpose, that I could use my story for good. At 27, now more purpose-driven, I felt convicted to pursue a new dream: Miss Universe. So I entered the national pageant, Binibining Pilipinas, determined to use our platform for good. I ended up winning Miss Supranational Philippines 2017 and placed top 10 internationally. But my proudest moment was winning Miss Friendship consecutively, because it had nothing to do with the way I looked, but everything to do with my love for people. I then walked away from my career again, despite others thinking I was making the wrong decision. Not because I didn't love my work now, but because I had started to realize there was more to life, and I was worthy to flourish in all of it: spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, socially, and financially. And I knew that in order to do that, I needed to go back to Australia to complete my healing in the place where it all began. Now, lastly, season 4, Wholeness. From that place of growth and wholeness, at 34, married, and 8 years since my last pageant, I decided to join Miss Universe Philippines 2025 under new inclusive rules, not to please others, but for me, because it had always been my dream to use their platform for good. But I faced opposition. People said, "Isn't it about time you grow up? Isn't it about time you get a real job? What about your husband? What about having children?" Even during the pageant, people compared me to younger contestants. They said, "She looks old." But this time, I refused to be shaken. I had nothing to prove anymore. I no longer took things to heart because I had finally accepted myself, and that was more than enough. My focus was now on backing even just one person for the good. I wanted to show that we can all flourish and dream at any stage of life, because for so many years I didn't. And this is what I learned. When you embrace your identity and your worth, when you accept yourself, you stop living to please others. You start making choices aligned to who you truly are and the purpose you have for your life. Now, it would have been a nice ending to say that I walked away with both the Miss Universe national and international crown. But that wasn't the point. The real victory was daring to pursue a dream that aligned with my purpose. Being here today on the TEDx stage, sharing my story for good, shows just how far little Chanel has come. And for me, that is my victory. The truth is, I've never shared all of this before. Not accepting myself nearly killed me. Choosing self-acceptance saved my life. The moment I accepted myself, that's when my life truly began. The moment I stopped living for approval, I started living boldly in my own choices. The moment I embraced my story, I found my purpose. The moment I realized my worth, I became unstoppable. So here's my invitation to you. Choose self-acceptance. It will give you the courage to flourish, to align with your purpose, and to dream boldly at every stage of life. Because if I can stand here today, alive, whole, and full of hope for the future, then so can you. And that is your first step toward your own victory. Maraming salamat po for listening.